Hello my friends and welcome back. It's Friday, so happy Friday to you, happy end of the workday for you and for me also. I've been waiting for this for a long time. I'm getting out of town. Now first news, and also today we're gonna have a huge chunk about Moscow Stock Exchange and ruble and Russian economy because that is burning right now. But I'll begin with this crazy guy. This is Moscow rally in Moscow yesterday. And this guy was screaming a message to all of the people who were following him in the rain with this Georgie's flag, as we call it, the orange and black. It's actually forbidden in Estonia now. It's full Russian imperialistic symbol. Now this guy is screaming a full message to the West and especially to Washington, to the United States. So if you're watching from US, I really want to know how this makes you feel. Don't worry, it's 1 minute long, because I don't think anybody could handle any longer. But we're gonna watch it together, and please leave your emotions down below. For Belgorod, Donbass and Crocus, we take the USA into focus. This guy is like a rapper. He's like a poet. For a Russian victory, we demand to introduce flight missions in our strategic nuclear missiles and target cities in the United States of America. This guy is screaming this over Moscow. We demand nuclear flight missions into USA. Yar, Sarmat and Poseidon, we are targeting Washington. Dude is a full Eminem, Russian Eminem right here. Only the propagandist. On Washington. So, you're watching from the United States. How does this make you, like the typical psychologist question, how does this make you feel? Now Washington means, yeah, we're going on to Washington. Now it's like on top of it, we're going to take it, we're going to destroy it. Now Berlin was like Second World War when they took it. Now it's not Kyiv, now it's now Washington. So, on Washington. And look at this huge, I don't know what to call it. It looks like a huge dildo on a car, but it's actually like a nuclear missile on a car. Actually, this is Lada Samara, I think. Which is like a crappy car, but if you attach a nuclear missile dildo on top of it, yeah, no Washington. Yeah, crazy. So we finished the video. I feel like I have a little bit less brain cells before I started this video, but I think we all need to see this. So again, I want to know your reaction to it. As a volunteer for Ukraine, I often have to travel a lot and attend important meetings. I need to make sure that I look up to par. And I found a really amazing solution for myself, and I want to share it with you. Let me introduce you to the sponsor of this video, a fantastic brand that I've recently discovered and fallen in love with, Manscaped. Manscaped is trusted by more than 10 million men worldwide for their grooming tools and products. And today I want to talk to you about the Handyman Compact Face Shaver. The Handyman is equipped with a unique dual blade. It features a standard foil shaver as well as a long hair leveler blade to knock down up to 3 days worth of growth. It also features skin-safe technology designed to help reduce nicks and cuts. The Handyman is waterproof, which helps make cleanup quick and easy. It has a sleek and compact design, fits perfectly in your hand, making it easy to maneuver and reach even the thickest spots. It's perfect for those who are always on the go or have limited storage space. It's a must-have for volunteers like me, jet-setters and adventurers alike, and it's airplane friendly. The Handyman boasts up to 60 minutes runtime on a single charge. That means you'll have more than enough time for multiple shaves without worrying about running out of power. The Handyman Compact Face Shaver from Manscaped is the perfect addition to your grooming arsenal. And I've worked out a special deal for all of you. Go to manscaped.com and use the code Artur at checkout to get 20% off your purchase of the Handyman. Trust me, it's worth every penny. But now, my friends, the juiciest part of the video, and it wasn't this one, it is the Moscow Stock Exchange and the ruble. You guys loved the burning of it yesterday, and believe me, it continues. It's this campfire that is so big that you wake up in your tent, you go outside, and it's still burning. That's how big it is. Let's begin. I have many links for me to click and to watch it all through, but a collapse of the shares began on the Moscow Exchange after yesterday's introduction of a new packet of sanctions against Russia. In some banks, a certain moment, the dollar rate reached 200 rubles. And I put that in my thumbnail, 200 rubles for $1. And many of you commented, oh, that's clickbait. Oh, what are you talking about? If I Google ruble to USD, let's see. Oh, it's not actually USD to ruble. Oh, it's not 200, it's 89. What are you talking about? Clickbait. My friends, this number here has nothing to do with reality. It's not connected to anything since ruble is not tradable anymore with the United States dollar and euro officially through official means. Then you got to do it under the counter. And the price, the real price of ruble to dollar is what Russian banks are selling it for under the counter or like to their own people, not connected to anything in the West. And that is close to 200. We'll get to it, believe me. The point to remember here is that 200 rubles per $1 is not clickbait. That is the reality we're going into. And if you were alive in the 90s in the ex-Soviet countries, you have no issues in believing that. If you're perhaps from Germany or from France, maybe you think it's clickbait. But everything will unfold in time. Give it a few minutes. Today, shares of the Moscow Stock Exchange opened with a decrease of up to 15%. So the general was down up to 15%, meaning some were 30% down, some were 5% down. But the mediocre fell was 15% of the whole stock exchange. Now this is a collapse. 15% is a collapse because some of them went 50% down. The Moscow Exchange Ruble Index fell below 3,100 points for the first time since June the 3rd. And my friends, that is only the first link. I have many different mystery links here ready for you, and they are gonna be juicy. Moscow Exchange says something is wrong. Yes, they actually haven't opened yet after the huge impact yesterday. And so are also most of the Russian banks, if I couldn't say all of the Russian banks. They're all afraid of the bank runs. Not only afraid, the bank runs are going on already. On the banks that actually still have cash. Most banks in Russia have run out of cash. For example, Rosbank website is down. Clients cannot log in. Many Russian banks are not allowing customers to log in because they do not have the liquidity to give customers their money because of the new United States sanctions. And this is all of the banks, actually, because, well, in the 70s and 80s, a bank run was when a guy went to a bank and withdrew his money and everybody did this. Nowadays, a bank run can be digital, electronic. A bank run is just when everybody in the country is trying to transfer their money away from the country or into another currency, and everybody's trying to buy dollars right now. Everybody. They're not physically going to ATM. They're just trying to do it on their phones, but it doesn't work because all of the bank's pages are down just to prevent this from happening. Because, as I said yesterday, I predict if this would be allowed to happen, I would say 10-15 billion United States dollars worth of assets from just regular Russian people would be transferred into dollars. Huge outflow of Russian wealth into dollars. Because that is the safe currency. Ruble is not the safe currency. And the fact that we actually have the bank run and the banks blocked their own websites shows that Russian people think that dollar is a safe currency and not the ruble. Very strange, I know. Now again, Russian stock market is collapsing. Many people will say, oh, 200 rubles per $1. Clickbait. It's not collapsing. Stock market is not collapsing. Economy is doing okay. It's not, my friends. It's really not. The ruble is already stabilizing. If you look at the official price of it, not the one that I mentioned before of the under-counter price. But the thing is, every kind of stabilization that Russia is able to do on the stock market or ruble's price, they're not really doing it. They're not improving their currency by somehow. They're not making the economy better. What they are doing is that the central bank of Russia is selling billions of their foreign assets. They have euro and USD, they have yuan of Chinese. They're selling that, and that strengthens the ruble. But that is just an extremely last-ditch effort. It's the last thing you do before the all-out collapse. If you do that, that would strengthen your currency, but you can only do that as long as you have the foreign currency. It's a very finite amount. They will run out very soon. So any kind of stabilization you see in Russian economics is because they're puking money at the problem. They are running out of that money to puke, but right now they still have some left. Moscow bank branches have run out of cash. Yes. In the morning, a correspondent from Moscow Times visited almost 24 branches of large banks, mainly Sberbank, but also Alpha and Avangard. And there's also Gazprom Bank. Yesterday I talked about Gazprom Bank since they are a bank branch of the Gazprom, the Russian state-owned oil and gas company. Yes, they do have a bank called Gazprom Bank. And somebody said, oh, it's sketchy as hell. What is this? It is one of Russia's biggest banks. It's like in the top 5. Gazprom Bank. It's crazy. I know. And Gazprom is very much connected to how Russian economy is doing. And Gazprom is taking massive losses right now. Let's check this out. So this is Gazprom market cap from 2010 to 2024. As you can see, right before, look, 2013, it was almost 200 billion. Then they occupy Crimea. Boom, it plummets. Now in 2022, it goes up because the oil and gas prices rose to the moon for a moment, but now it is lowest in 14 years and it is in free fall. It has never been this low before, after 2010. It was this low before. So Russian GDP, like Finnish NAFO fellow Joni Askola said also very well, Russian GDP right now is below, is the same level it was in 2010, 14 years ago. Now, if that doesn't give you any idea of how the country is doing, I don't know what will. 14 years ago. That is stagnation. It's not even, it's horrible. And if this is Gazprom, you can imagine what Gazprom Bank is doing, which is like a bank filial of Gazprom, the company. So that the orcs can see a dollar sign again, I have included this in the photo, a little bit of humor. And to sum this up, Rosbank this morning, they'll buy your United States dollar for 52 rubles. So Rosbank, a banker, one of the biggest banks, officially announced they will buy for 52 rubles per $1. They will sell you the United States dollar for 132 rubles. And this price is always going up and down. And yesterday it peaked for a moment at 200. This is where I got the number. It's officially from Russian banks, not connected anything to the West's information. It's what Russian banks will sell the dollar for Russian people. It was close to 200. Now it's about 132. Financial advisors in Russia are warning businesses to hold off concluding any ruble-denominated deals for fear the currency could plummet any day now. And I always love this chart. I always keep an eye on this because currency is really nice to be valued on what you can actually get for it. And if like Zimbabwe dollar or these famous currencies which inflated so much you couldn't get, like the piece of paper of this 10 million Zimbabwe dollar was more valuable than the number itself. So in Russian currency, ruble, one piece of toilet paper, one of the cheapest ones in Russia, the cheapest Russian toilet paper is for 0.4 United States cents per dollar. 0.4. It's 0.4 United States cents per sheet of toilet paper. One sheet, not the rolls. It's one of the cheapest things you can buy in economy, right? So if the 1 ruble is right now 0.7 cents United States cents, if it devalues to 0.4 United States cents, then you can actually, the 1 ruble, which is also a coin and which there are even smaller coins, is less valuable than a sheet of toilet paper. So you could technically use a sheet of toilet paper as money because it's more valuable. This is where it's going. This is how low the ruble has crashed. And my friends, it is not only Russia because CSTO or Russian Security Treaty Organization, NATO copycats, all of these countries have very, very high export and import trade relations with Russia. That is all connected with the ruble. Financial fallout begins. Banks in Kyrgyzstan, a member country of the Russian CSTO military alliance, are blocking transactions, even in rubles, in both directions with the Russian banks. Everyone is expecting the ruble to become worthless and no one wants to be stuck holding the bag. Yeah, the thing is, Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, all of these countries, Tajikistan, they are waiting for ruble to collapse. Now, it is safer to block transactions, all transactions with ruble, than to allow them and people in Russia transfer rubles to Kyrgyzstan and buy dollars in return or euros, and Kyrgyzstan would be left with billions of extra rubles that 2 weeks later will lose all their value. So these countries actually, like banks in Russia, are just plain out blocking their citizens any transfers in Russian rubles. It's just safer for them. And now, to sum up this entire topic, Russian exporters are already sounding the alarm and claiming that there will be a 10 to 25% drop in exports and imports in the next 6 months due to the inability to pay for foreign trade transactions in dollars and euros. It doesn't seem bad for you, 10 to 25. But 10 to 25 is an economic collapse. It's a collapse in every sense of the way. Thing is, most valuable items that Russia needs are imported because they don't make them. And of course, the best ones come from the West, and sanctions are not hitting all of them. Huge portions still go through to Russia. But Western countries never accept ruble. Nobody wants that shitty currency. Western countries accept Great Britain pound, euro, and dollar. Now that Russia cannot pay in these currencies anymore to the West, they cannot import certain goods. You don't even need to sanction these goods. They just cannot pay for them because no country in the West would accept rubles. No way in hell. And now, my friends, this is a TV in Russia. TV channels were again hacked and playing the Swan Lake. If you know, you know. The Swan Lake, you cannot be mistake about it. It's the Swan. Also, this shows the real Russian losses of the war on the screen, so every Russian would see this. But the Swan Lake is even worse. A bit of information here. And I want to conclude it all with a little bit of a giggles and funny for you to go into the weekend with good mood. Meanwhile, in Russia, Eminem and 40 million rubles. Because 50 cent is about to be 40 million rubles. Russia, dude riding a bike, right? Commodity bull market, low debt levels, large federal reserves, trade surplus, attacks Ukraine. Damn the West. It is. Russia, before attacking Ukraine, I mean, it had Europe on the palm of its hand. Everybody addicted to gas and oil from Russia. Soft power, the strongest in Europe. They bought real estate, yachts, football clubs, advertisement, everything. They had Europe. 10, 20 more years, and Europe would be fully in the Russian sphere of influence. Now, it's all gone for them. This video is a lot about money, but just it's a coincidence. Now we talk money, but more G7 and Ukraine topics, because the G7 countries agree to transfer 50 billion to Ukraine from the interest of frozen Russian assets. Now, this sentence is a little bit wrong, because this 50 billion from G7 will be a loan. That means Ukraine will pay it back. It will be a long-term loan. But there's a catch. There's a very juicy catch here. You know, this 300 billion that is in the Western countries as Russian assets, it's frozen. Russia cannot get it. That 300 billion generates about 3 to 5 billion United States dollars every year in profits. Money generates revenue. That's how it is. It's the interest rates. It's positive interest rates. 300 billion generates a huge amount of profits. 3 to 5 billion just generate from just your vast sum. Now, this loan, check this out. This legal structure is so cool. This loan will be backed. The collateral will be the Russian assets, okay? But it will be paid back by these interests, meaning Ukraine will get the loan, but Ukraine doesn't have to immediately start paying it back because the Russian interests gathered from the frozen assets will start paying it back. So this means Russia is very directly paying for the damages done to Ukraine, and they're paying for Ukraine to buy new weapons, to keep their country running, because there's no restrictions to this 50 billion. Ukraine can do whatever they want with it, and they will use it for weapons, believe me. So this 50 billion that Ukraine will use for weapons is allowed by leveraging Russian money. Beautiful. Joe Biden and Volodymyr Zelensky have signed a security agreement between the United States and Ukraine. And this is a big, big deal. The United States has many security agreements with many countries, and these countries now, I mean, nobody wants to mess with them anymore, because then you mess with the United States. This includes the supply of Patriots and F-16s and other aircraft in the event of an armed attack on Ukraine. Senior United States and Ukrainian Ukrainian officials will meet within 24 hours and discuss a response and determine what additional defense needs are required. Now, this is, of course, in the future. It doesn't, but it also affects United States-Ukrainian relationships right now in this war. Again, this old story that I've been telling all the time of Putin's gamble that the West will be fatigued and be tired. Hey, the West is giving Ukraine 50 billion on Russian money, backed by Russian money. Now there is a long-term security agreement with the United States and also with all of the Nordic countries. Long-term security agreement, not like tomorrow, next decades. This is not fatigue. West is only getting more united and stronger behind this cause, Ukrainian victory. And these stories, they don't end. Good stories all day today. It's Friday, let's enjoy ourselves. Great news. Military support from Ukraine will become mandatory for all NATO members. Will become mandatory for all NATO members and will be centrally coordinated by the NATO command. So it will unify the military support for Ukraine, which has been quite chaotic, although very efficient, but chaotic. It will be unified. NATO will put its logistics behind it, to be finalized at the NATO summit in Washington next month. But there's a detail. Hungary is exempt because dictator Orban is a Kremlin's puppet. So all NATO members except for Hungary, exception was made to them, which is stupid and insane if you think about this. And it doesn't end there, my friends. I'll keep bombarding you with good news. Argentina became a member of the Rammstein format. I am happy to welcome Argentina as a new member of the contact group. And this comes from Lloyd Austin. Argentina, South America, one of the first South American countries to be so closely related to NATO and helping Ukraine, thanks to the new government there. And my friends, last night was, we have already talked about money and NATO. Let's talk about bada bing, bada boom a little bit because it exploded in Crimea all night long. You could almost say Ukraine was banging Russia in Crimea. Okay, I'll stop. So this is Crimean Peninsula, 3 different locations. It was ATACMS. I don't even need to say this. It was HIMARS. And you have 3 guesses. What is the target? You don't need 3 guesses. You already know. This attack, like every night almost now, is paving the way of the coming of F-16. It's clearing Russian capabilities to take the plane down. Ukrainian ATACMS strike methodically, wipe out Russian air defense assets all over Russian-occupied Crimea. Those 3 sites have been struck in the last 48 hours. Yevpatoria sector S-300, Jankoy sector S-300 and S-400, Sevastopol sector S-400. And now Russians brought S-500 to the Crimean Peninsula. It will be eaten up by HIMARS. But that's not it. Ukraine really pounded Russia yesterday because from 1 a.m. Moscow time to 4:30 Moscow time, drones attacked the Kalino airbase where Shahed warehouse is located. Now this is in Kursk, right across the Ukrainian border, Kursk Oblast. It was exploding in Crimea and to the northern part of Ukrainian border in Russia. Alright, my friends, now for the last time of this week, I will butcher Buy Me a Coffee members. If you become a monthly member, there's a difference between supporter and a member there. You become a member, I'll be butchering your name to oblivion. We have Russell Scott, Joshua Kim Ingemar Rasmussen. Then what a name you have. Carles Toad Lebov. Strange names today. Neil Dotsvortk, Hendrik Dalgaard, Russell 72 742 43 552, Katherine Winter, and Mikke Hunt. Thank you for becoming a monthly member of Buy Me a Coffee. It's the right thing to do on my channel if you like the channel. Until my next video, my friends, which will be on Monday, so be back, subscribe, Slava Ukraini, and bye-bye.